Spring cleaning is an opportunity for us to take a focused walk around our community.
Spring clean you, your personal brand, that brand of you. Time for a spring cleaning, or rather a tune-up on your personal brand.
Tell the story with the data so you know where you've been, where do you need to go? What are the next steps? Understanding the goal, have the communication, get a sense of what the direction is and what the strategy for this year is. Clean that up.
In the spring, it's a great time to revisit, hey, are you where you want to be at this point in your career? And where are you aiming to be in your career? And I think it's equally, if not more important, to also find out where that individual wants to be in their own personal life.
Are you tired of doing the same thing in repeating situations which end up with the same result? Maybe it's time for a new perspective. This is Viewpoints on the Multifamily Media Network. Our hosts discuss a topic from different angles and provide actionable ideas. Maybe a new view would change the outcome. Welcome to MMN Viewpoints.
Hey there, this is Paul Rhodes, host of The Maintenance Mindset and co-host of The Turnover with Mark Sharp and Chris Caramonica. This month, our topic for Viewpoints is spring cleaning. And from a maintenance point of view on our communities, I think it's a very important time of year. I mean, the trees are treeing, the bees are being, the birds are birding, and everything is changing at the community. And my thoughts on spring cleaning are the fact that it is a specific time of year and that we need to take advantage of that specificity to ensure that we catch up on things that may have either fallen behind during the colder winter months or identify things that may have missed our attention for the past 6, 7, 8 months, whenever the last time we performed this activity. And the activity I'm referring to is actually driving through your community intentionally. I happen to be out in Las Vegas this week, and I've got a rental car, and yes, I'm staying away from the Vegas Strip and casinos and all of that. I'm out here doing some training, and I actually took a little bit of inspiration from Rooms for Ronald's host, Ronald Harrington, and I drove through some communities that were out here. I actually went through 5 of them, and I went through intentionally practicing the exercise that I'm going to talk about. And that's the fact that oftentimes on our communities, we get into our cars and we're either leaving the property to go home or we're coming into the property in the morning. And we have a specific destination in mind, or we have a specific job that we have to do. Once we get on site, we either have a work order or an apartment to go do, or we have a task that must be completed. So all of our focus goes into that task. When we go outside on our communities, typically we're thinking of what parts do I need? Who do I need to talk to? What vendor do I need to call? And we're kind of going through the motions to get to step A to B. I mean, how many times does it happen when you're either driving somewhere or maybe even walking somewhere and you get to the somewhere, but you can't actually remember the pathway or what you saw in between from where you started to where you are right now? All of that goes in to say that spring cleaning is an opportunity for us to take a focused walk around our community. I drove through 5 properties. Of those 5 properties, when I'm driving through, I noticed that 3 of them had those doggy stations that were not refilled. Not only that, those garbage cans on those same 3 stations, the garbage cans were completely packed. Now, 2 of the properties that I visited, the doggy stations were packed, the garbage was empty, and they looked really, really good. But even in that case, I think this can be a lesson from the doggy station. Yeah, I know we're talking about dog poo areas. It's an important amenity for our residents. But when was the last time we actually looked at them strategically? And by that, I mean, first of all, do we have all the supplies that we need for the next time period for those doggy stations, the bags and the garbage bags for the trash cans? Okay, but I think that's low-lying fruit. The strategic part of doing this, I think, is more in line with the location, meaning it's springtime. As the grass begins to grow back or speed up its growth, depending on which area of the country you are, the trees and the bushes and the shrubs are around. If we take a look at that doggy park area, is it still okay? Does the grass and the bushes need a break from what is occurring in that area? Do we need to move this doggy station? Just because it's planted in the ground doesn't mean that we can't transplant it somewhere else on our property. I mean, we could also have the issue of a doggy station that nobody is using. It's in such an out of the way area. Do we need to consider moving it to somewhere else that residents would get better use of it? Now, I've just picked doggy things because those are the quick ones. What we're actually talking about here in spring cleaning is the time that we need to look at our community outside intentionally. We need to drive through our property, maybe even walk through our property with no destination and paying attention. We need to ask questions, things like, if this is my first visit to the property, what would I think about this community? Are those trees, like that one right over there behind me, is that tree overgrown? Do we need to have somebody from our landscaping team take care of it? Are our buildings in danger from trees? Chances are we've walked past that tree on our community 100,000 times. But it's important for us to begin to ask questions. That question, in my mind, based on driving through those 5 properties, is what's the first impression that this community gives? And I'm not just talking about flowers at the front gate or taking a look at the swimming pool, though both of those are important. I mentioned gates. Is it time for our gate to get an update? Do we need to paint it? Do we need to change the signage on it? Is the rollers, the bearings, the chain, the mechanical operation, when was the last time that was serviced? There are items there that we can do preventive. We drive through that gate all the time. When was the last time we actually paid attention to it? Because here's the thing. Our residents and our potential residents, they notice it. We drive through, we go around on our property, and we don't, because we have a destination. And that's okay. This is not a blame game. I'm in the same boat. I drive past things all the time and forget they're there. So here's a couple of things to consider for spring cleaning. The first is start your pool habit. By that, I mean the key to maintaining a good swimming pool amenity at our communities is consistency. The consistency we're talking about is that every day, Monday through Sunday, that swimming pool gets checked. Many municipalities require it to be checked twice a day, once first in the morning and once right after lunch in the hottest part of the day. The reason why I say start now, even if it may be still too cool where you're at to use the swimming pool, is that if the time is taken to set up the swimming pool in the spring and to get the muscle memory of spending daily time with the swimming pool in the spring, Your summer work, when the pool is at its highest demand, is lessened. You can keep the water in balance. You can keep the chemicals operating and that water crystal clear blue while preventing algae blooms just by maintaining your chemicals, every once in a while suddenly increasing the chlorine and brushing the walls of your pool. Now, those items do require some time. If we get in the habit now, in spring, before it's busy, it's much, much easier to make those items happen when our residents are really looking for the swimming pool. What if we be sure that we've looked at our safety equipment in the shop? Now, some of us on our properties at our shop, we have a safety wall. That safety wall contains things like safety glasses, possibly hard hats, safety vests, your maybe even some cones, safety tape, caution tape. That's a big one. If you don't have any of that at your community, it's time to reorder it. Cut resistant gloves, safety knives, and lockout, tag out. These are items that tend to get forgotten over the course of the year, that when they take out, when they're used, maybe they didn't quite get back to where they're supposed to be for the next person. Spring cleaning is an opportunity to do focused inspection on items that may need replenishing or renewing. It also might be time to ask a question in a quiet office or in a quiet place. Think through your community and ask, what haven't I looked at lately? Spring cleaning is an opportunity to look at those things that maybe we've walked past and we haven't looked at in a while. Thank you for joining me today. Feel free to listen to any of the podcasts I've mentioned today. I hope you have a fantastic week, and I'll see you somewhere.
Spring! Time for new beginnings, for spring cleaning, for freshening up and cleaning up. I say it's not just spring cleaning your communities and processes, which is really, really important. It's clean up your personal brand. I'm Mary Gwyn, host of PX Multifamily, the People Experience podcast, part of the Multifamily Media Network. My spring cleaning perspective? Let's clean up your personal brand. It's really funny to me when some of our team members are nominated for awards and have to submit a resume, or they apply for a different role in our company and we ask for a resume and they scramble. They've been with us so long, they pretty much don't even have our company on their resumes. They need a spring cleaning. I'm not necessarily saying we want them sprucing up their resumes and getting it out on the market. We definitely don't want that. I'm saying it's part of their personal brands. And as part of your personal brand, the brand of you need to see if you're properly setting yourself out in the multifamily world. And see if you're demonstrating who you really are and what you offer to your team, your company, your online presence, to your supplier partners, to all the people out there. Are you demonstrating your value and expertise? What have you done since last year's spring cleaning of your professional profile and your tune-up? Have you taken a class? Have you taught a class? Have you accomplished something incredible in your job? Have you mentored somebody or been a mentee? Have you accomplished a goal you set out for yourself that you're really proud of? Then take a moment to polish up your elevator pitch. You know, that 2 minutes or less that you tell people about yourself when you meet a new person or you're speaking in front of a group. Take time to review your bio and give it a refresh and speak it out and refresh it again. This is definitely personal experience speaking. I did my refresh And I was just surprised to read some of my bios that were floating out there on the professional sites. And on one site, I saw a picture of me that looked like it was taken when I was in college or something. Talk about needing a refresh from bad hair. Take a look at your online presence as if you were looking up a candidate for a high profile job in your company or your next spouse. Just kidding on that. But what would you look at if you were recruiting a high level executive? Is the content in the About section of your LinkedIn still correct? What about your contact information? Is it 2 jobs ago? Does it even have an email and phone number? I'm continually surprised when I look up a supplier partner, for example, somebody I want to contact to do business with, and the contact information for them only has their LinkedIn address as their contact information, not their phone number, not their email. Gosh, that just seems so basic to put your personal contact information in your LinkedIn contact information. Go figure. Wouldn't you also want to look at a candidate when you're looking at that high profile candidate? Wouldn't you look at what they post, not just on LinkedIn, but also on Facebook and Instagram and X or Twitter, maybe even TikTok and YouTube? Maybe you wouldn't look at theirs, but you should definitely look at yours. Do you like what you see? If not, do a spring cleaning of your social media and online presence appearance. And in fact, set a calendar item to do an annual personal brand spring cleaning. Spring clean you, your personal brand, that brand of you. Time for a spring cleaning, or rather a tune-up on your personal brand.
Today's topic is spring cleaning. I'm Ronald Harrington, your host of Rooms with Ronald. What does spring cleaning mean to leasing? Well, this is a chance for us to re-energize ourselves and our teams. It's a time for us to reflect and get rid of the mentality that we're not going to meet occupancy, or to get rid of the mentality that we had a slow winter months. It's a time for us to look at best practices, to tune up for leasing. So here are my tips and tricks for spring cleaning. The first thing I want you to do is I want you to look at your performance over the past year, or the past quarter, or the past month, whatever fits you. And I want you to examine it and say, how many leads did I talk to? How many people did I get in the door? What is that, right? Tell the story with the data so you know where you've been. And then I want you to think about, where do you need to go? What are the next steps? Understanding the goal. Have the communication with your managers, with your corporate team, with your owners, whoever you need to talk to. Get a sense of what the direction is and what the strategy for this year is. Clean that up. Then I want you to go and I want you to examine your follow-ups. Look at the follow-ups and determine what's working, what's not working. Maybe you're going to run it through ChatGPT to refresh them. Give everything a refresh. That's the beauty about spring cleaning. It's about refreshing things. Maybe you need to do some upskill training and you need to reach out to your local association, or maybe it's internal to kick things off, right? Do that. Maybe you want to reach out to me directly for some advice on how to refresh and reimagine what the leasing process is. This is our opportunity to make it better. The other thing I want you to do is I want you to go look at the quality of leads that you have in your CRM, right? Maybe there's some that need to come back into play because they're getting ready to move in. Maybe you didn't do so hot with the handoff from your AI to yourself that you need to work on. So there's that. Maybe it's, I just need to close these out because I have tens of thousands of guest cards in my system that we no longer need. The other thing that we can kind of forget about is that spring cleaning of the outreach marketing. a lot of things change in the market. So getting your name out into the community is huge. Maybe it's a day that you're going to go do outreach marketing to local businesses. Maybe you want to go partner with the local cafes and bakeries and restaurants to get gift cards so you could refer people there when things aren't going right on move-in day, or you're double booked and you need to send someone around the corner to get something while you take the other person. To me, spring cleaning is about looking at everything through a lens and cleaning up what you no longer need. It's about refreshing things. So if you have a model, maybe it's about going in and refreshing the model. It's adding little touches. I'm not saying you need to go buy a whole new couch or all these new decor. Maybe it's the little things like you're changing photos, or maybe you are in a position where you can rearrange the furniture to make it feel new. Because there's chances are that people are going to come back and visit you that toured with you last year, right? So give them a reason to come exciting. Maybe it's about decorating the lobby of your office different. Or it's taking these ideas and saying, hey, I love, showing my maintenance team off. So we're going to do headshots today. And in the model, we're going to put your photo on a magnet. Or we're going to put you on the welcome home. Here's your office staff and team right there on the bulletin board. It's about finding new ways to do things that are going to produce more results, that are going to feel crisp and clean. It's a great time to look at your marketing channels. What do the banners look like? What do our graphics look like? Is that really who we are still? It's a time to look at campaigns and saying, you know what? I don't need to run this campaign anymore. Or my demographics might have changed. So how I market and target them is going to change, which in return might also change how I, tour. It's a time to look at yourself and say, do I wear the same boring clothes over and over and over again? And time to look at your appearance from the outside and say, hey, let me put my best foot forward. It's about researching and finding new things that you can incorporate. It's about taking the time to invest in yourself and your property. Spring cleaning isn't just about throwing things away. We don't want to throw away the valuables, right? But we can find ways to make things more efficient, more effective. It's a time you're not so busy right now where you're like, hey, I can't try anything new. Maybe take the next 30 days and try something fun that you wanted to do. What does that look like? Maybe you wanted to add photos to your follow-up emails. This is the time to try it. Out with the old and in with the new. You as leasing professionals can take this concept of spring cleaning and apply it to everything you do. Maybe you want to learn a new skill. Maybe you're working to be promoted. That's part of spring cleaning. How are you going to accomplish that? How are you going to manage that? As you can see, spring cleaning isn't just one thing. It's many things. And when it comes to leasing, it can be anything you want. I hope that this time of year re-energizes you, makes you feel passionate, gears up towards your busy season, makes you excited to lease again and to find that excitement within yourself so you can portray it on that. You've been listening to the Leasing Viewpoint on spring cleaning. I'm Ronald Harrington, your host of Rooms with Ronald. Until next time, guys, happy leasing.
Back with another viewpoint. This week's topic is spring cleaning. And I have a couple of things that come to mind that are oddly not similar. But the first thing that comes to mind for me in spring cleaning for property management or in the property management world is gutters. That's right. You heard it here. Gutters. Spring, in my mind, is the perfect time to clean your gutters for the first time if you do it more than once in a calendar year. I think your gutters sometimes get overlooked, and not on purpose. They're so high off the ground. You're not necessarily looking up every time you go out and walk your property, but it is a necessary thing that needs to happen on your property on an annual basis, at least an annual basis. In a perfect world, you're cleaning your gutters out a couple of times a year. But the far-reaching impact of gutters that are not cleaned is wood rot, water intrusion, penetration into the building, penetration into the cavity of the building where you can't see that moisture is entering and doing damage. It probably would boggle your mind how important it is to clean your gutters. One of the things that I love to do when I'm touring a property, especially one that we are attempting to acquire, I drive around and look at the gutters, and I can't tell you how many times I see the gutter garden. So you may ask, what is a gutter garden? The gutters that have not been cleaned in a very, very long bit of time are literally growing vegetation. I've seen pine trees, let's say 6 to 8 inches tall, growing out of gutters. Pine trees, the start of a pine tree growing out of a gutter. So we refer to those as gutter gardens. That's bad. That's really bad. That means that the water that is going into your gutter is watering the tree and the vegetation. It's not flowing through and exiting the building. It's rather settling there. It's probably at some point going to rust out the gutter. It definitely at some point is going to cause water to penetrate your building, which is really bad. Water and wood and path of least resistance into units and all those sorts of things, those are just bad things for property management. The other thing that I think about with spring cleaning is you are right in the time frame for HVAC season, for air conditioning being necessary in apartment units, especially in the South. So one of the things that I think we neglect to do as property managers, maintenance supervisors, maintenance team members is clean the coils on every single condensing unit, whether they be on your roof or they sit outside of a building. If you just go through with a good water hose, some light level pressure, you have to be very careful when you're cleaning your coils. You don't want to bend that very flexible metal. Like, I don't know what it's made out of, but you want to be very, very careful not to bend it. But a good water hose with a good little amount of pressure, just clean them off. Clean off all of your condensing units, all those coils around the exterior of the condensing unit. Just spray all that stuff off. Make sure there's no vegetation growing around your condensing unit. Just make sure it has a very clear path for air to flow through and in and around and about. It'll surprise you how far that will go in potentially cutting down the number of service requests you have for HVAC units throughout the course of the summer. It does take a little while. You've got to find hoses that reach and you've got to find all that stuff, but it's definitely worth going around and cleaning all of your coils, just spraying them off and making sure that those condensing units are free from any sort of thing that would impact airflow. The other thing that I think about when I think about spring cleaning in the multifamily business is this is a really good time of the year. And it traditionally happens this time of the year where you sit down with each one of your team members and you go through the exercise of painting the picture of the future for each team member, understanding where they are in their career, understanding where they want to be in their career. Now, you should know all this stuff ahead of time, but it's just to revisit it on an ongoing basis. In the spring, it's a great time to revisit. Hey, are you where you want to be at this point in your career? And where are you aiming to be in your career? And I think it's equally, if not more important, to also find out where that individual wants to be in their own personal life. If they're willing to share their personal life with you in that way, what are my goals and dreams and ambitions and desires in my personal outside of work life? And to the extent that you can align work that is happening in your organization with the desires, the aims, the ambitions of people outside of work, if those two things align, in other words, work can somehow, some way satisfy or give them the opportunity to do reps as it relates to the thing that they want to accomplish in the future, then we should try to make those things work. As long as we're producing business outcomes, as long as we're not creating distractions within the business. If somebody wants to be a public speaker one day when they leave the property management business, to the extent that we can get them doing presentations in front of consumers, team members, potentially supplier partners, if they do their work very well, you can send them off to a conference, hopefully get them signed up to do a presentation at NAA or any one of the apartment associations. It doesn't necessarily have to be the apartment association. Maybe we can go and do a public presentation at a company that has team members that might be looking for places to live. We should do a presentation about our apartment community in front of a crowd. Maybe it's a lunch and learn at an organization, and you go in and you do a presentation for your apartment community. If that person in your company wants to be a public speaker one day and they want to do a rep, that might be an opportunity to do that. So spring clean, back to the topic at hand, spring cleaning, go through, sit down with each one of your team members and sort of clean the decks, clear the decks, understand where they are in their career, understand what their dreams and desires and wishes are for the future, inside, outside work, and then take the time here in the spring to align those things, map it out through the course of the year, and then make sure you stick to those things. So I think spring is a wonderful time not only to get allergies, kidding aside, I think it's a great time to just clear the decks, almost get out the pressure washer.
Before you leave this episode, answer these questions for an action plan based on the perspectives you've heard today. First, what idea caught my attention? Second, what was identified as something that I need to discontinue? The answers noted are a place to start for improved success. To go deeper, check out the shows by hosts you've heard from today. Thank you for being open to different viewpoints. This has been a Multifamily Media Network production.